Okay, guys, I'm back with Sean Perry, and Sean, I have the privilege of quoting you a few times with some things you've shared with me over the years. And one thing I quote and use a lot with men is something gosh, I don't know how long ago it's been now. You shared it with me, and but you made this statement that we got to quit letting men off the hook. Now that can mean a lot of things. But I know you specifically kind of have a context as to why you say that statement, and I thought it'd just be of great value for you to share that with the guys.
Yeah, I think for me, in the context that we were talking about that, I was talking about it in the sense of the church. And a lot of times, men in particular will just throw up the "I'm too busy" flag, and that is...
I've never heard that before.
You've never heard that? You've been going to the right
Not
place.
Not today, anyway.
You've been going, not today.
Yeah.
But they throw up the "I'm too busy," and the church sort of backs off from that. And I think my point was, we need to lean in there a little bit more, and we need to challenge people on, well, what are you busy with, and how impactful is it, and not in a prideful way, but I think about this in my own life, and the one thing that I've given up is I can't have any sort of normal conversation about sports with anybody anymore. And it's because, one, we intentionally moved our TVs to different places in the house, but also I just don't watch TV anymore. So I'm terrible around the water cooler, but I do think there are other parts of my life that have benefited from that.
Absolutely.
And I think that's just, that's what I meant by that statement.
Yeah. And I know there's from the book that you read, Spiritual Leadership, which I know has had a great impact on you. There's a quote in there that I love that you recently shared with me, and I thought maybe it kind of fits this context too.
It does. I mean, I think it was probably reading this for the first time probably changed my life, my view on that topic. This is Spiritual Leadership by Oswald Sanders, one of the greatest short, condensed books that you'll buy. The best book if you're trying to mentor some young guys, because there's chapters about chapters are about time and humility and characteristics of a leader and reading. And so there's little, the time chapter maybe 4 pages or 5 pages, and it's just packed full of great stuff. For example, this quote, I think we're going to reference it on a slide too, but it says in here, "Suppose that we allot ourselves a generous 8 hours a day for sleep, and few need more than that, 3 hours for meals and conversation, 10 hours for work and travel. Still, we have 35 hours each week to fill. What happens to them? How are they invested? A person's entire contribution to the kingdom of God may turn on how those hours are used. Certainly, those hours determine whether life is commonplace or extraordinary."
Yeah. Wow. 35 hours.
35 hours a week. I talk to young people about this all the time, because this is I think sort of an epidemic, like a big issue right now with young people. A lot of times busying themselves with good things, but ultimately not the right things.
Yeah. Well, and I always try to challenge older guys when I use that statement of, I kind of in the context, like, we as men, I got to quit letting you off the hook. You got to quit letting me off the hook. And if you take that quote there, I mean, I've got 35 hours, man. I can't give you an excuse.
It's hard to say that, right?
Yeah.
When you think, oh, there's 35 hours.
Yeah. So I ask guys all the time now, like using a certain structure that you and I are familiar with, the Reggie Campbell Radical Mentoring. I ask guys all the time, could you give up 3 hours a month, not a week, but 3 hours a month to have some young men come into your home and you invest in them intentionally? Well, you just said 35 hours a week we have, times 4, that's 140 hours. I'm just asking you for 3.5 once a month.
Less than 5%.
Yeah. So I think we've let the enemy really, really work us over there. And then we've, you mentioned the church. we've kind of leaned into that, letting guys off the hook, but men especially have done that with each other. And I really try to challenge guys that we got to stop doing that. And because that's the only way things are going to be different is we got to quit letting each other off the hook.
I had a friend 20 years ago that I said to him, he's like, how's things going? And I said, oh man, I'm just busy. And he said, are you bragging or complaining? And
Wow.
that's been a great lesson too, to me, of just like, nobody really cares.
Yeah.
Everybody's got stuff going on. So
Yeah.
just, do my own thing. But ultimately I need to be accountable for my time, myself, and how am I using it, and what does it look like? And is it going to make my life commonplace or extraordinary?
Yeah. Well, I'll kind of wrap it up with this. I love this statement from Andy Stanley, where Andy says, as men, matter of fact, I think you may have been at the retreat that time that he spoke at, where I heard him say this. You and I were there together. And he said, as men, it's not our responsibility to fill somebody's bucket, but it is our responsibility and opportunity to pour whatever's in ours into somebody else's. And that's where your life becomes extraordinary. Mm-hmm. So let's quit letting each other off the hook. Let's be those guys. So, Sean, thanks again, brother.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Guys, join us next time.